wider, wider, and then small. So it seemed like a pretty cool little pen. I'm going to add a couple notches in it just to add some more character. Of course, every time you start adding design elements, there's a chance you screw it up. So here's hoping I don't do that. So I'm going to put maybe a notch here. And maybe a notch next to it. And that should look pretty cool. So it's got these two little notches here. It's got a nice place to hold the pen. I think we'll go with that. So now next, we're going to do some sanding. And sanding on the lathe is pretty cool because it happens quick. Because you got the lathe spinning and you've got the sandpaper dragging against the spinning wood, so you can remove a lot of wood quickly. The problem is, if you're not careful, you remove too much. And as everybody knows, you can't really add wood. You can remove it, you can't add it. So since we're going to be doing some sanding, I'm going to put my handy dandy sanding mask back on. So when I'm sanding, I usually progress through the different grits of sandpaper. So I usually start with something like a 120, then go to a 150 or 180, up to 220, 340. Sometimes I'll go all the way up to like 600 grit, just to get a really nice smooth finish. So. And you usually can use any kind of wood sandpaper. You just want to cut it into a strip and then kind of fold it over. It just makes it easier. when you're doing this with the first grit, the 120 or 100 or whatever you're using, you want to make sure you're getting into all the little grooves, making sure to get all the scratches out and any of the lathe tool marks you might have left, because once you progress to the next grit, it's going to be harder to remove those deep scratches. So I usually spend a little bit more time with the lower grits, the 120s, 100s, just trying to get it as smooth as possible at this grit before moving on. And then you just want to kind of check it over to see if you're going to have any big scratches show up later. This is looking pretty good right now. Yep. So I think we can move on. We'll move up to some 150 here. Of course, anytime you make any notches or anything like that, you got to make sure and sand in between those. So that was the 150. We'll do some, I think this is 180. Some 180 now. Some 220 here. And the final I'll do a 320. And that looks really good and smooth. Yep. I usually run a piece of tissue over it just to get some of the excess sawdust out. Make sure I'm getting those grooves. I'm going to take it out of the chuck just to show you guys the design. So there's the design. You can see this is going to be the top piece with the clip and the cap on it, and this will be the bottom with the tip. And like I said, I design it so when I'm writing I have some place to place my fingers so they don't, slide down. So the next step is going to be to apply a finish to it. And I do that on the lathe as well. It just makes it easier. One thing less you have to hold in your hand. So I put that back in there and cinch it down. I always like to turn it on, make sure it still spins. Wipe it off again. Now there's tons of finishes you could put on this. I kind of like stains, but you could do oils. You can do like a tung oil, a mineral oil, a wood wax. Tons of different options. I personally like, since this is cherry wood, I just put a cherry finish on it. Just kind of brings out the natural color of the cherry. I also like to use a black cherry stain.